See now what it is? Just as soon as I hit record, it starts to chuck it down. Christ almighty, man. Right, hello everyone. I've got to put my hoodie up for this. How you doing, everyone? Welcome to NFTV. 8 players, yes, 8 players we are talking about today because Newcastle United's loan system is not doing that well. Hello everyone, hope you're doing alright. It is actually just starting to chuck down. You might see it on the camera. Typical as I start to record, but we're here now anyways. But welcome everybody. We'll have 8 players to talk about today, and the reason why I wanted to bring this up is a half-term, whatever you want to call it, loan report. In this list we've got 8 players to go through, and I've got to say, I'll say it from the beginning, look, the loan system of Newcastle, buying players and not trying to get them off the wages, how long we've been talking about this, it's been going on since even Ashley years as well, and some of these players were still here. In fact, a lot of them were from the Ashley years. But we're going to talk about straight away, we'll get on to the report, Jamal Lewis, who down the pecking order, isn't he? If you think about the likes of Dan Burn, Tino Livramento, Lewis Hall, Matt Target, he's what, 5th choice left back at Newcastle? So he's not going to get any game time, and obviously he's, for me, he seems like a lad that's, when he's got confidence, he'll play well. Obviously highly thought of, nearly moved to Liverpool when he was on the Norwich's books, but Northern Ireland International. He's a regular for Watford in that left back slot, but still has a contract with Newcastle until 2025. So he comes back in the summer, we still have a player there for another year. So I mean, what do you do with him? For me, you're going to have to try. Obviously, he'll spend the rest of the season out on loan at Watford, who are trying to get in the playoffs. But for me, you try and sell him in the summer, or you're effectively going to have to loan him back out again, and then he becomes a free agent in 2025. So it's a shame, isn't it? You know, we're crying out for left back. We've got one out on loan who can't even get past the centre back effectively, in Dan Burn, who's playing there. But there we go. Next one is Kell Watts, who obviously the club think really, really highly of him. He's been loaned out now. This is his 5th season in a row that he's been loaned out. He's, as I say, highly thought of. He's currently at League One down at Wigan. But for me, he hasn't been loaned out to a top 2 tier club as of yet. And now he's at the age of 24 and becomes a free agent in the summer. Not always a regular at Wigan either, so for me, unfortunately, I know he's a local lad and what have you and supports the club. He made his debut, didn't he, under Steve Bruce when he came off the bench, and for me, I think he leaves in the summer. I think he'll spend the rest of the season at Wigan, and then I think that's curtains for his Newcastle career. Unfortunately, I don't like saying that, having a local lad, but realistically, he's at that age now where you need to go and make a career, get a permanent place, and unfortunately, that's not going to be at Newcastle United. Next lad, Ashby. Of course, we only signed him about a year ago in January. We won a deadline day, wasn't it? Signed from West Ham for give or take around about 3 million. Still a young lad, 22, so we've got loads of years left on his contract. I think he's in and out of the Swansea side. I think he went there as a right midfielder, then he's gone back to a right back. Scored for us in pre-season, if you remember. Highly thought of, but he's behind the likes of Trippier, Livramento, and now Emil Kraft's back in the fold. He's effectively at the moment 4th choice, so staying out on loan is probably the best thing that he can do at the minute. Mankio's probably likely to move on, but still, and what do you do with Emil Kraft? Of course, I think he's out of contract as well, so you never know. But come the summer, I expect him to be loaned back out once again because of who's ahead of him at the moment. So I think Ashby, don't get me wrong, I don't think this is such as a bad signing or anything like that. I just think give him time, give him another season out on loan to see what he can do. It doesn't have to be at Swansea, it could be another club in the Championship, or if he wants to fancy going abroad, why not? But I think for him, have the season out on loan, see how he gets on. Obviously, we'll see how he develops and so on, and then come the summer, get him back out on loan for me. But contracted, like I say, for another couple of years or so yet. Ryan Fraser is the next one. Remember him? Twice now he's fell out with Eddie Howe. One at Bournemouth because he didn't want to sign that month extension when we had COVID, because he would get injured potentially, not allowing him to get him a move. Hey, it's stopped raining. It has, I think it stopped raining. Right, we'll carry on then. And then obviously fell out of Newcastle for whatever reason. We still don't know. That might become public if he permanently leaves Newcastle, but at the moment he's an impact player at Southampton. He is enjoying his time down there. He's recently said that he'd like to make the move permanent. Russell Martin, their manager, said, look, we'll have to wait and see because of the finances. You don't even know which divisions Southampton are going to be in next season. They're currently 3rd. trying to chase Ipswich for the automatic slot, so they might come up and they might be able to afford his wages, but if he comes back to Newcastle at the end of the season, he still has another year. Ryan Fraser has already said that his Newcastle career is effectively done, it's over. But scored a couple of goals of late the last few weeks, become an impact player. And when I say an impact player, Southampton look to him when they need to, you know, freshen it up or change the game. He's one of the first that they look at. So although he's not starting, he's an impact player. But for me, if you can try and get him off the wages, like I don't think we'll get a big fee for him. It'll be under 5 million. Get him off the books if you can. You can try and flog him in the summer, whether it's to Southampton or whether it's to another club. I think Ryan Fraser needs to leave because that's just wages that Newcastle United. Although, I mean, we've got all the money in the world, but we can't spend it because these loan players, although the clubs are helping to pay for the wages, don't get me wrong, it's affecting FFP whether you like it or not. It does affect FFP because we can't just go out and, you know, spend, I don't know, 30 million on the next player because we've got shitloads of wages sat here costing us millions every season, doing nothing on the books. So that's why it does affect FFP. So that's Ryan Fraser. You've got to get him off the books. Again, it doesn't sound very positive, but look, let's be honest. These loans aren't, and it's not going to get any better because we're talking about two midfielders who could potentially have their loan cut short. And Isaac Hayden, who's been on the channel before, and I feel for Isaac Hayden because he wasn't named in the 25-man squad when Eddie Howe took over, and he had to submit that in January when we started going up from relegation up to mid-table, and he was injured. So, and obviously he's been on the channel and said, look, it's no hard feelings. Went out on loan to Norwich, had an injury spell there, he's out in Belgium in the minute, but as their chief executive at Standard Liège, where he is at the minute, Pierre Locht, I think that's pronounced it as, said it'll be cut short, and it wasn't involved in the winter break friendly against Borussia Dortmund recently. And he quotes, he's had some good games, but he's been too inconsistent. So if he can't be consistent in the, the Jupiler League and the Pro League, whatever it's called, in Belgium, you know, he's got a long contract as well. He's still at the books until 2026. That's still 2.5 years ago for Isaac Hayden. There is some, obviously, heavy speculation that he will have the loan cut short and then he'll move immediately back out on loan, probably to a Championship side. There is some talk that Sheffield United might be interested, but he's probably going to be a Championship side. And it's a shame because he's hanging around and he's probably on a good wage because he signed that long contract, and that's why we're stuck with him as well in Newcastle. You know, do we need a number 6? Well, you've got one there, but does Eddie Howe not see him as like a Premier League quality, or I don't know what he doesn't like in him? And is it because he can't bring the ball out from defence? I don't know. But I think Isaac Hayden's career is effectively over as long as Eddie Howe remains at this football club. And another one, Jeff Hendrick. I mean, this is a joke. This lad's a joke. How long has Jeff Hendrick been here? He's only he's only played an hour's football since October. An hour's football since October. Yes, granted, he's had a little bit of an injury, but he's on loan at Sheffield Wednesday, who are trying to stay in the Championship. And for me, he's been loaned out, 2-3 seasons now? And he's coming towards 32 at the end of January, collecting all his wages, and they want to cut the loan short. They want to terminate it because he's not consistent enough. He's Republican Ireland international, heavily experienced, yes, but even when he was out on loan at Reading and stuff like this, man, what's happened to his career? I know it was a free transfer when we got him from Burnley under Steve Bruce as well, and don't get me wrong, the restrictions are there whether you like it or not, but previously, and obviously with FFP and what have you, but the wages now, he's just sitting there collecting dust, isn't he? So get him out. Do you know what I would personally do with Jeff Hendrick? Pay him off, get rid of him. If his wages are, I don't know, 30k a week or whatever, 40k a week, times up by 4, because that'll give you the monthly wage, and then times up by 6 to take him towards the summer. Can he not say, do you know what, if you leave now, we'll pay you half of it. Get out the club. Basically a polite piss off. Basically, because he's just, nobody wants him in the Championship. I don't know where he'll end up. He'll probably go back to the League of Ireland or something, I don't know, but, I don't know, I might end up in the MLS, who knows, but what an awful player to have around, just hanging around, and we've even said that before pre-takeover. This isn't you in Newcastle United. A lot of these players are Ashley buys, and we're still feeling the effects of it. And there's still a lot of the squad at the moment in the first team, never mind the loans, are still largely from the Championship. Look at Matt Ritchie. Look at Jamal Lewis. I can go on and on. There's a few more. So we're getting a bit more positive. Let's talk about Garang Kuol. And then we'll talk about Minteh, who's more positive than Kuol. So Kuol, just a teenager, of course, Australian international. A little bit unknown when we did sign him. And he's out on loan in the Eredivisie at Volendam. Of course, he had a poor spell out on loan at Hearts, being used in a strange position. This season, he's been predominantly used as a left winger, an inverted winger, where he come in from the left-hand side with his right foot. But he started games when he first went there, and now he's a rotated player, so he's in and out the side. And for someone who's 19, that's probably good experience for him, because he's getting a lot more game time than he did at Hearts. Got a long contract still at Newcastle. I don't expect him to be sold at all. I think he'll stay out on loan for the rest of the season, and then I think the club will then look and try and get him back out on loan once more. He's so young, and you never know, he's so raw as well. Pace to burn. And yeah, I think you've got to loan him back out, personally, for what I would do. I think that makes sense for him, because let's face it, we're not going to command a big fee. He could develop yet. He's still just a kid. He's a teenager. Still a teenager at the moment. So contract runs out until what? 2026. So still got 2.5 years left on his Newcastle deal. But the most positive one is Yankuba Minteh, who big things are talked about him on social media in particular. Just recently he had his first cap for Gambia as well, but he was obviously signed in the summer last season, as we know, from, was it the Danish club, Older Odense? I can't remember who it was, but we loaned him literally straight back out to Feyenoord. And he's had some fantastic games, and he's a squad player now, but that's not a bad thing, because he's playing for a side that are playing in the Champions League. He got player of the match in one of the Champions League games for all the amounts of dribbling that he was coming up with. And I think he's a better calibre of player. I think he's got better potential right now than Garang Kuol, because I think he's a level ahead of him at the minute, and he's playing Champions League football, which helps. So it's interesting, because there was rumours about him that he might come back to Newcastle, speculation that he might be returned in January and compete with Miguel Miron and Jacob Murphy when he comes back from his injury. But that's just pure speculation. We know that that right wing position is not very strong, I don't feel, including the depth behind it either. So it'll be a massive summer for him, because I think Eddie Howe will want to look at him, use him in pre-season, see how he gets on, play him a few games, and then make the decision, look, he's either going to develop in Newcastle being a squad player where he'll come off the bench, kind of in the mould of what Jacob Murphy is now, whether you play him left or right, but he likes to play on the right. Or you send him back out loan once more, maybe, and this is no disrespect to Feyenoord, because they're massive, but maybe a better league to send him out on loan on, because he's probably out of this, in fact he is, out of all this list that A-players have gone through, the one with the highest hopes. Garang Kuol probably a very distant second, and all the rest, maybe except from Ashby, you need to get rid, probably. But there you go. Thought I'd do that, start chuckling doing, and then it stopped, thankfully. It is freezing, by the way. We have some bad weather coming our way. Snow's already across Europe. You can stay out of there as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, that's it, everybody. Take care, watch what it's doing, and we'll see you very soon on NFTV.